Beautiful. 15.
Oh, well, I was wicked busy. The last college.
We hardly recognize you without your hat on.
I know, I didn't know who it was.
I just think he had hair.
I didn't think it was that white.
Oh, I didn't think he had
I've had a rough life.
White is very distinguished.
I'd settle for white.
White's nice.
I do.
You look younger and without the,
You guys are on.
Yeah.
that makes you look older.
Okay, thanks.
So I'll call the Board of Selectmen meeting to order.
Planning board meeting to order.
ZBA meeting tomorrow.
So, Jim, why don't you start off? Or you want to start off?
Sure, yeah, sure. I want to thank everyone for being here again. I had a lot of feedback from the community after the last meeting. I don't know if any of you did. They thought it was very informative. They thought it was nice to see the boards working collectively toward a common goal. So it was good to hear that feedback. And I thank you for making the recommendation to have them on a quarterly basis.
Oh,
So-
are we being taped?
Yes, we are.
Second.
I
Okay,
think it's just not on.
all right.
TV's not on.
Continue, I'm just gonna.
Okay.
That's good.
So,
Just
I
in
think-
case I say something out of line.
You definitely wanna get it recorded.
You see who's on camera.
Been there.
yeah, we're on.
I know you have.
So, I'd like the purpose of tonight, or at least we'll start off with this purpose, is we have one subdivision that looks like it's going to come online this year and for town approval or acceptance. And that's the Pines located on Pine Street. So it's known as Sylvia Way. It's received its last building permit as of last week. So all of the houses are under construction. Once the foundation is in, the developer plans to pave the road and then start working towards the process of acceptance. So I thought it would behoove us, being that it's May, and we probably wouldn't be able to accept until the fall town meeting, to open up the dialogue as to whether or not we want to change the way these subdivisions have been proposed and how we're going to accept them. And specifically, we want to talk about acceptance of the streets, whether we want them to be public streets or private, and then any of the other items that you know of. Now, this is a zoning board project, so they have more of the information or the nuts and bolts of it, but I thought that we can use this maybe as a template going forward. We can reach out to the attorneys, what can we do, what can't we do, and maybe even ask for some public feedback as to what they think is best for the town. But I think it would be a good time to start the process because we have a subdivision that's online, and this is going to be the first of many, as you know. We've got quite a few out there going on.
The process is a long process.
Right.
With our subdivision roads, if they want to be on the June meeting, they have to start like December and January to start getting their,
Right.
ducks in a row. And
Right.
I
So-
just think too, the important thing is, like I've heard about these ones that haven't been finished, worked for a long time, and I think we really need to get a handle on that so that we get them done and require the contractor to get them done. Or,
Right.
and see what action, what authority everybody has to make them.
Right, right. So I think those are two issues, and they're both important. And I'll defer to the planning board on maybe bringing us up to speed on some of the ones that haven't been closed out. But I know there's been an effort since the last meeting to try to get that to happen. There's been a lot of work that's been ongoing. So I don't know if you want to make comment on that, and then maybe we can start talking specifically about whether or not we need to change the language in the permits and what it is we're going to accept and what we're not going to accept.
Jim, under 40B, when they come to us, different from the Form A lots and stuff, they're one of the requirements, one of the waivers that they're asking for is to be exempt from the size of the roads that are acceptable by the planning board.
Right.
That's a thing that they come in almost every time so that it cuts the cost of the overall of the project. If it is going to be something that in the future that on the 40B we're just going to make them compliant, where do we start and draw the line as to what they can,
Well, that's why we're here. We want to discuss this
it
as a
should be
group.
the same as any existing road
Right.
because of parking, fire safety, you're not, just from now on, no more exemptions
Right.
under that.
So 40B.
But they still have the right to take us back, because they can say that we're making it uneconomical.
Right.
These are all things that the liability falls back on the town.
Right, I agree with you. The comment that I'll make to that, and I've spoke to Peter Williams, I know that's been something that 40B developers have seeked out, but we've been very good as a zoning, as the zoning board and as a town to try and get the most that we can out of them. The streets that are built in these 40Bs are not bad. I mean, they're engineered streets. They comply in most ways with some exceptions.
Until snow removal.
So, right,
So can I just
Jim,
ask a question about that? So the 40B has a different requirement than what the planning board.
Exactly. They can come in and get smaller roads, smaller sidewalks on one side, maybe no.
And you have to approve their frontage and everything else, but they come in with a plan, we sit down with them and we negotiate.
Right.
We really have to approve that, we
I
get the best we
spoke
can
to,
out of them.
I spoke to Peter Williams today. He was going to come down to the meeting, but decided not to, so we had a little conversation. And he said that, your 40B projects are actually built to the specifications of,
right.
of
We don't
our
have,
town.
we don't have any that are 40-foot right of ways that I know
But
of, or
a lot of our
26 feet of
streets,
pavements.
a lot of our streets, we give a lot of waivers as well. One sidewalk and,
Right.
you
Yeah, but your
know,
main part is a 40-foot right of way with 7 feet on each side for utilities and sidewalks. We are going below that. In order for you to do that, that would have to come to us to get a waiver.
no.
Not if it's a planning board subdivision. That's not correct.
Okay.
They have some planning board subdivisions, for instance, Maris Lane. That entrance to that road is not a 40-foot right of way, because the wetlands restrictions required it to be narrow.
Well, how
So
do
I
we-
understand your point, but I think we're not putting ourselves out if we decide to accept those roads, because there are other roads in town that are quite similar, and sometimes worse off than the 40B roads that we have currently in the town. So I don't think we would be, it would be a detriment, and I'm gonna defer to Tom Ferry on
I
that,
think
he's the
you
streets
should,
guy,
because
right,
he's the one
so,
that's gonna
right,
maintain them and
right.
clean them.
But,
Narrow
okay,
streets.
Can I just give a brief history on
Sure.
Heinz? They initially came to us with a houses, 66 houses, one quarter of that has to be affordable houses. We negotiated, we got it down to 45. Anybody's familiar with Miranda Brothers, they owned it. They did some initial work. I think they went belly up, and this Bishop bought the property as well as the one right next door at Stony Ridge. So we've had 6 40Bs come before us. There are 4 active ones. This is the first one that's gonna be completed. It's not the oldest one that we have. You can cross the street is one of the older ones. Dyton Woods is older than that, and we got Pines, and we got Stony Ridge. And this owner also owns Stony Ridge, so we feel very good with this developer, that he's doing a great job. He's come back before us a few issues, and we've discussed it with him, and things have worked out well. So we think, hopefully this is gonna be a complete 40B. But they always, most of these 40Bs that come to us and said, this is not gonna be a road for the town to maintain, it's gonna be a private road, the home association will pay for it, the plowing, which taxpayers, we think, well, that's a great idea. But as Dean pointed out a few months ago, all the inhabitants are taxpayers in that development. Why are we saying that in addition to paying their taxes to the town, they're gonna have to have a home association that they have to come up with the money to maintain the roads and everything else?
And to
So I think my position now is that any road in these 40B developments should become public roads. Assuming that Tom Ferry feels that they're appropriate roads and stuff like that, so.
I have one other thing to expand upon that, if I may. We're basically, if we don't accept them as public roads, and I'm not saying it's the right or the wrong, that's why we're here to talk about it.
Yeah, I would just think my opinion.
If it remains private, we lose control over the upkeep of that road. We're gonna put that in the hands of the private, the HOA. Who's gonna oversee that on the town side to make sure that road stays safe for the people to pass and repass? That's one of my great concerns. So, I mean, we're already tapped out now as a town office with the amount of growth that we had. So who's gonna have to oversee all that? Make sure that infrastructure stays in place. We're not talking about something that's just gonna impact the people in that
Jim,
development.
I agree with you, the same as with Ken. I think the town should have the responsibility for the same reasons. Why should we pay taxes twice?
Right.
The point I'm trying to make is, under the 40B law, okay, they can come to us and ask us for, because I agree that we've got the projects, I don't know if there's much we can do with them, but in the future, we certainly can prevent this from the future. But under the guidance of the law that governs 40B. We need an opinion from an attorney to tell us, because if we say, no, we're not gonna grant you this waiver of whatever what is the thickness, sometimes the thickness of the tar that goes on them, 4 inches or 2 inch underlayment, whatever it is that we agree on. If we don't give them that waiver, they have the right to take us back to court. And they've told us in the past that they will almost always win. Now, if you can give us something that
We have a
shows us.
bylaw in play.
I don't think the bylaw, they're asking for exemption from our bylaws, that's why it's
We
40B.
don't give them all the exemptions
Yeah, what they're
that they
asking,
want.
yeah.
Right.
We negotiate with them, that's why every 40B we've had, we've got more than 25%
Right.
affordable units.
And I think what
We
Ms.
certainly
Swist
would
is,
take a harder line, Ken, I agree with you.
what Ms. Swist is saying is that we have not allowed anybody to put subpar roads within this community.
It is,
So,
I
as long
think
as
some of
Peter
our
Williams
40Bs
is
were, they
your
were less.
engineer, he would advise you if
He's
that
done a
was,
great job.
he would advise
with
you
the
if that
fire
was a waiver,
department.
that
Peter
he
Williams
advises
does it
us if that's
Does
a
it
waiver
all.
you should
Yeah.
grant or you should not grant,
Right.
because it's,
But Peter Williams was not involved in one of the 40Bs, I'm not sure which one, it might have been Pines, but he was one that.
okay,
well, I think maybe across the street,
It
right?
seems to me that the rule of thumb should be, once the road becomes a public way, then the town has the responsibility for maintaining it. Just
So let me ask you a
just
question.
for
The way they are,
liability
some of
purposes,
them
if
aren't,
nothing
they're
else.
not set up that way under the 40B, that the homeowners association was supposed to take the responsibility.
that's why we're here, to discuss
Change
whether
it.
that's what we're gonna change or not.
So in that case, if it's a private road and it needs to be resurfaced, who negotiates
They
that
do.
project?
It's part of the,
This is
The
my problem.
homeowners association.
association's,
But they're probably not
fees.
qualified to do
Right.
that.
Right, this is my problem.
And it's
So,
okay, just
so
wanna
as a
understand.
town,
Right.
I think that we're relinquishing some of the control over how our neighborhoods look by not having that oversight. And I don't know what language is written into the HOA that gives us any enforcement authority. So that's the biggest concern. Now, I'd like to hear from Tom as to what he thinks about the road construction. I know you weren't there when they actually were built, but I know you have a lot of entrustment in Peter Williams. But I also want to hear is this a benefit for us? Will it add to our Chapter 90 funds that are available to us and things of that nature?
Yeah, yes, we depend on a town engineer from the infancy of the project right through as it's being built. Mr. Adams touched on a few things. The foundation of the road is very important. It's not just that thickness of asphalt, it's thickness of the base underneath it too.
Right.
That would dictate all the spider cracks and whatnot.
Right.
How long the project's being built on just that one course before the final course is going on. Like across the street, there's gonna be a problem. Just putting an overlay on top of that, all them cracks are gonna transfer up, but there's no mechanism to take that asphalt down and do it right from the bottom up before we own it. The longevity of the road depends on that. I mean, it looks nice when they pave it, but you're talking, roads used to last almost 40 years. Now we're trying to get 10.
Right.
And we'll probably get less than that out of the one across the street. This product. Yes, we depend a lot on Peter Williams. Through this whole process, it doesn't matter which board, and fortunately, I've been doing the driveway permits on the 40Bs too, just in case we ended up getting them, the projects. And all that's doing is resolving, trying to head off any water problems, surface water problems before they happen. Fortunately, that's been in place with the 3 projects that we've been talking about.
Right.
And moving forward, no matter which direction we're going, we should probably still allow us authorization to do that, to protect that town for when we do have to adopt these things, these problems moving forward. Did I touch on everything that you needed?
Chapter 90, does it give us more funding from the state for Chapter 90?
The Chapter 90 money, we depend on that a lot in this town. We do ask the taxpayers to maintain some of our roads and repairs on projects. There's some things on the warrant this year again, but for the most part, our overlays and the new pavement and road construction, we tap into that Chapter 90. We're still less than $300,000 a year, which is not much townwide, maintaining roads or doing overlays. That money is based on population and miles of road you have. So all these subdivisions will help with that, obviously the population that comes with them. So that should kick us up a little bit to help maintain that, a better financial base.
That's a basic question. Well, why would a developer want to keep it a private road for the homeowners association?
To sell it to the town.
Right.
They're just trying to sell it to us. It's
Okay.
a smokescreen, I think,
Okay,
a
so-
lot of it.
It's a sales pitch that say,
All right,
you'll
sales
never have to
pitch.
worry about this
I
road.
understand that.
But ultimately, we will.
Right, so why would they wanna, what's their advantage, they can do it
They
cheaper?
want you to, want us to approve their plan, because they're asking for
Right.
waivers. On an acre of land, they're gonna put 4 houses with the
Oh, I
Form
see.
As. You understand?
So we
So
think-
it's
so we
it's a
think-
sales point.
So they think we're
It
gonna buy
makes it
them.
more palatable, but it really
Right.
isn't.
And ultimately, with the amount of growth that we've had, we can see, and especially with the history of having problems with the maintenance of those roads, it's not proven effective. And quite frankly, after the HOA is established and the developer's gone, it's now us against the people who own
See, I'm thinking
the
it's an
HOA.
altruistic thing that they wanna do better for the homeowners.
No, it's not.
Okay,
No.
okay,
No,
so
what does the
just be
homeowner
clear.
know about
I understand
maintaining the
that,
street?
that's right.
And any homeowner out there who does have the experience, I mean no offense, but you just wanna go to work, come home, and live your life. You don't wanna worry about the road that you're driving in on. And I don't feel as a town that we should not have the control to govern that. For instance, if the HOA, some reason, is not doing what they're supposed to do, I'm a little concerned about the enforcement authority that we have over a private road. And what happens if that road goes into such disrepair that we have issues with public safety or anything else going in there?
Most of those projects don't they have some kind of money put up front before they even start, so that there's some kind of a surety?
Our project.
But it's probably not enough, but I mean, there is money.
There is money at the
They try to
beginning,
pad it.
but as escalation happens, it's not enough.
I agree.
Now
Just
that-
what happened up there in Richmond Hills, the same thing, 15,000, it took 30 to fix.
It's not.
Right. Now, there is some other things that I think the HOA would benefit. And that would be common areas in the subdivision. For instance, if you have a bus stop on the way in, or you have landscaping, or you have a small park, which one of our subdivisions does have, or a retention pond, that might be good items to keep in the HOA's control, so that the people in the subdivision actually have a say in what happens in those areas. Now, the retention pond is an interesting topic, because we know that the stormwater regs have all changed dramatically over the last few years. So, I don't know if it would be the appropriate thing to allow the storm drainage cleaning and the retention ponds to remain in the HOA's plans, because we could find ourselves in violation of some DEP requirements if it's not getting done. So again, that's another enforcement action that, who is gonna oversee all that?
Even if the maintenance was left on them, and they fell behind or walked away from it, and we had to do it, we can't put a lien on anything.
Right, not that I'm aware of,
No.
which is why I say maybe we should just take over the responsibility. I'm not trying to put any more burden on us as a town. I'm just trying to make sure that the longevity of this community stays intact.
Kinda pay me now, pay me later.
Right, and we all know the developers sell a bill of goods, and then when it comes right down to it, they walk away in some cases. Look at next door.
Something like that, doesn't that, under our jurisdiction, where you say it falls under the homeowners association, it's written in stone they had their 15-day or 20-day appeals period, it's all done in there. That would constitute a major change, wouldn't they all have to be reopened and
Oh, yeah.
renegotiated?
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying this is gonna be just stamp it and we're all
Well,
done,
that-
no, but see,
No.
Bob, we're at a crossroad where we have an opportunity to make this change.
Right, going forward.
Before it's too
I don't
late.
have a problem with that at all. I think we argued it in the beginning, but they kept coming after us that they would win in housing court if the waivers weren't granted, and there's never been, if you look at the record since 1968, a zoning board has never won on a 40B ever.
Well, that's if you flat out deny the project.
No,
I'm saying
not
we did.
flat out denied. They can appeal their project. If we make one of their things, this is the way the attorneys have explained it to us, and you will.
Yeah, but it's a combination. We have, a lot of these 40Bs have 80, 90, 100 conditions that we put on them.
85 at least.
Right.
So we made conditions that they're required to do, and I'm sure that they're not happy with a lot of those conditions, but it's negotiation. 2 of them came in, we want 55 and older, age restriction.
They're
It sounds great, and we approved it, great.
It's gone.
Few kids,
They're
what
gone.
happens, they come back to us, and
Because they can't
Cross
sell.
the Street was one of them, Pines was the other one, they came back, we can't
People
sell
don't
them.
retire and come to town.
No,
No.
they don't
They're
retire.
gonna go to town.
Getting back to the roads and stuff. You
One
have
of a
somewhere
kind.
else to go too, I'm sure. But, getting back to the roads and these things that have already been conditioned, we would have to, from a legal point, going forward, I don't have a problem, I think the town should just, any road that goes in should probably eventually gonna fall on the burden of the town.
Right.
And,
It's gonna require reopening the special, the comprehensive permit, yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be a major change, it's gonna require a public hearing,
so, the
but we have
bottom
the
line
time
is
to do
this
that.
definitely has a problem. You're gonna have to hire an attorney. They made she made a statement that there was a time limit on any of our 40Bs going forward. We have 6 months, we have to approve them within 6 months. We've been granted more time, they've always been conditioned, but by law, we are under a certain length of time, like a 40B.
We've
But
always got the time that we
moving
want.
further past that, if they, when you go and you change this thing on these ones that we've done in the past, this is a major economic thing to the homeowners association. The cost of the road, maintenance of the road is less and less and less. It changes what the bottom line is of the fact that we have to stay within under 20%. Who gets this money? Where does this go after? This is a complicated thing to change the ones we've already done. Going forward, I don't see a
No,
problem.
I think we can go back, and there's some, maybe the one across the street that's gonna come back before us with a major change. At that point, we can just say, we have our own concerns about this, and we can add any conditions that
We
we,
reopen.
if we reopen it, and the public has to be invited, posted, and all that kind of stuff.
But can
we
you
have-
check, someone check with the attorney, because do
Well-
we have the authority to call a thing and reopen a public hearing? Because our 20-day appeal thing has gone past. Do we have the authority to do this? Does
Yes.
anybody know this?
Not if you've already voted on it and approved it,
Well,
or,
no,
approved what?
if
Sure.
the applicant agrees, if Fisher agrees
Right.
that he's in agreement with
All right,
making the.
Bishop, that's one.
Excuse-
Okay, but this
Well,
one,
it's-
Okay,
Section 2.
well, Fisher owns two right
this is an
now.
exception.
Fisher owns two, okay?
Yeah.
So this is what we're talking about, the Pine Sylvia
Is
Way.
that all this is about,
So-
is just those two?
At
About
this-
all the subdivisions.
About all of them.
If they're willing to agree, we just cannot haul these people
Well-
back in.
Bob.
Do you,
He's coming before us asking us to accept it.
Bob, if he agrees, right, he applies for a major modification to his comprehensive permit, you hold a public hearing, you advertise, you do all
I
that. The
understand how
major
that is.
modification would be, he's going from a private road to a public road. I don't think it affects anything as far as the funds, the monies, nothing, nothing to that
Definitely
effect.
changes the outcome of the
It
project.
well,
would,
it
the only
saves
thing it would,
homeowners
Save
money.
on
the only thing it
And
would
it's a
affect,
selling
he
thing
would
for
have
the-
to,
right,
you would have to rewrite the homeowners association where
Right.
now the road
Right.
became public and the common areas are the only thing
I've
under
already
their
spoken to two
jurisdiction.
developers in town, they don't care whether it's private or public road. They don't care.
Mhm.
Either the town's gonna take care of it, the HOA is gonna take care of it.
That's fine.
And if the HOA falls defunct, the town's gonna take care of it. So, the question tonight, and I'd like to have some resolute, is do we think this is the right thing to do? I'd like to hear from, I mean, you have more skin in the game than me, you're the ones who approved these subdivisions. And you heard
Well,
the hearings more
most
than
of
I
our
did.
subdivisions are public ways. The only
Right.
private one we have would be Hunter's Hill, which is a
Right.
gated community, and there were reasons why that was a private roadway.
Right.
I think what you said at the beginning, I mean, they're taxpayers. I think,
Mhm.
are we double taxing, but they gotta have their homeowners association?
Yeah.
And then we gotta,
Right.
we have no, you know, that's something you guys decide, but just as a taxpayer, it would seem to me that they should get the same benefit anybody else gets.
They're not being double taxed. One of the things that Lisa Mead pointed out at the last meeting was, and we don't do it, is those developers should be taxed on those roads.
Right.
So they don't care what's happening, cause it's not costing them anything.
Right.
I'm not talking about the
They
development.
should be, the developers should be taxed for the roads because they are not owned
But
by.
it's
Square footage, you
Now,
mean?
the other
But it-
thing is, yeah, we talked about this, so Lisa brought that up, and that's a common practice, so that's one issue right there. Another thought is, Tom, under complete streets, is there anything in that legislation that would change anything relative to going forward with 40Bs or developments in town, that you can think of?
We have to own the land, yes.
Oh, complete streets would be the, okay, so
We
they're
have to
public
own
roads. And then the other question I have is, if in fact the town takes over the roads as public roads, we accept those roads, the septic system do they have one common septic system in some of
No.
these developments?
Some.
Some do,
Some do.
so
All right,
that's,
so who's paying taxes on that?
There
So-
isn't any in the Pines, they're individual.
right, so.
All right, but if
I can
there's a
answer your
common
question.
system,
Right. I believe that this needs to be done in a hybrid manner. We can't dissolve the HOAs entirely.
No.
Because there are some common areas, and I should have mentioned that earlier, in addition to the parks, the bus stops, et cetera, the common septics have to be included in that. That has to remain under control of the HOA, still under the governance of the Board of Health and DEP, but yeah, we don't want to assume the responsibility
No.
of any of that. So, and we're not, and as I understand through the engineers, we have bonds in place for all that. So I feel comfortable as long as it's maintained appropriately and the HOA thinks linearly that this thing isn't gonna last forever, they're gonna have to replace it someday, then we shouldn't have an issue.
are the parks and public areas only for the people who live in the development and not for the general public?
No, they're not. They're for everyone.
The
So I-
open space.
So if you wanted to go there for a picnic, you could, okay, all right.
Yeah. Tom?
If we move that direction, I think this is where it's gonna hit both boards there. When it comes down time for the bounds that need to be installed, those common areas need to have good bounds,
Right.
and the septic area needs to have good
Right.
bounds. There's always gonna be an abutter problem that we have to deal with, we need those bounds.
Right.
Who owns that land? Does it stay as the
Right, I mean, if we're gonna,
Or the
No, it's
homeowners?
the
if we're gonna
HOA.
separate the homeowners from the road, we need to route the road
So then it's
clearly.
not public property.
The common areas?
Yeah.
No. No.
Okay, so then someone from out of town can go there?
Right.
This is something I never knew.
Right,
was
right.
brought up.
I mean, you know, there's no, well, actually, there is some parking areas next to the park, so the answer would be yes. Yeah. You'd have to almost be invited, though, you're not gonna just drive by and say, hey, look at this park. I mean, these
It's not that-
subdivisions are.
it's not that nice
Cross that bridge
anyway.
when we get
No.
there.
So who actually owns that land?
It would be
HOA,
the
HOA.
homeowners,
Who's
When-
paying taxes on it?
The HOA.
Right, so you bring up a valid.
We send a tax bill to the homeowners
Yes,
association
we do.
for the,
Yes.
so
Maybe
is
it's
it
gonna
only,
cry.
is it only the developer that's not paying taxes on the roads? That's what Lisa was talking about.
Yeah, Lisa was saying, like, prior to, acceptance,
Yep,
like, for instance, Richmond Hill, if they were getting a tax bill for that road all these years, they probably would have been a little quicker
Right,
on
right.
finishing it, so that burden would be lifted off of them.
And that's an extremely valid point, because going forward, knowing, and Lisa Mead is spot on, if those roads remain private, then they should be taxed. So, when those bills go out, we'll see what the firestorm will be when it goes out to the HOA. So I mean, that's like a, you know, you're paying taxes, you're paying HOA, and now you gotta pay taxes
but
on
even
the
before
land.
everything's completed and before the title goes to the HOA, the developer should be
Right.
getting billed for
Right.
those
And
things.
they're not gonna bill for that?
I'm not entirely.
No,
Don't they
I'm
get-
not sure, did you mention it to
I
the
asked Carol
purpose?
about
Don't
it,
they
and she
get
said,
paid
all
by
she said was, we
taxed
don't
on
do
the
that.
acreage?
Yeah,
And I
You
said,
got a
well,
20
Lisa
acre
Mead said
development, you
last
tax
week,
20
we don't
acres.
do that.
well, we,
Yeah, but some of them.
So they get the free ride, so what's the rush?
Once
Well,
they get taxed on the entire parcel until it's broken out and the subdivision's approved. Once the subdivision is approved, Carol takes out and breaks out all the individual lots, and then taxes them accordingly.
No land is left.
As I understand it, the only thing that isn't being taxed is the roads.
And that's what Lisa,
Even
Attorney
when,
Mead
even
brought
during
up.
the develop, even during the
Right.
building process.
I don't know
not
that for
being
certain, but I know that was the conversation that
That
they had.
definitely would speed things up.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, that's a good point.
Would
But
speed things up.
it's not a complete road, how can you tax them if it's not? a
For the
complete
square
road?
footage, just for the square footage. Am I right?
It's part of the property, so it should be taxed.
Right, it should be.
Yeah,
It's the
But
20,
Lisa
you got
said
20
this
acres,
happens.
you got,
Other
you know,
communities do
however many
this.
parcels.
because that's how you, Jim will know, that's how you work with these developers, you gotta have leverage. If you don't have
That would
leverage,
speed
they'll
things up.
just drag their feet as long. If
Yeah.
you got no more lots to threaten them, no more building permits or anything.
So,
we're in a good position right now from a development standpoint. We've got a couple good developers in town. We've got a couple of bad apples, and they know who they are. But, you know, this hasn't been a real fight to get things done and get them done correctly. But that's not gonna be the case all the time. So that's why I think it's important for us as a community to figure out you know, we're at the pinnacle where we got our first one that's coming on. As a group collectively, I think we need to discuss what's best for this community, what's best for the people living in it, and what's best for us to create a situation where we're in control of our longevity.
You said something before about these work good in the southern areas where there isn't snow removal and stuff. This is a different set of circumstances altogether.
Completely different, right.
Oh, yeah, I agree
I
with you.
own property in a subdivision in Florida that had this, and it worked
But
great.
you get a narrow road, and you've got a car parked on the side of the road, and a man's gotta come through with a 10-foot snowplow
Right.
on a 16-foot road. There
Right.
isn't much room. I mean, that's why to go along and accept these roads is,
Well, we already have
if they're
language.
substandard, we need to bring them up to standard in the future.
We already have language in our bylaws that say you can't park in the streets during snowstorms.
You can't predict what stupid people will do.
But it's a private road.
So you've done,
That's a
You don't
different
have the
story.
authority to
We
do
don't
that.
have the authority.
No, but what happened this winter, we got the calls, you
Right.
know, about we always say the parking ban is on until whatever it is. And we did get calls this year, and somebody said, I live on a private road, are you telling me I can't park on my road? And we said, if you park there during a snowstorm, we will have you plowed, because if your road is one of the ones that doesn't get plowed and we have to send a truck in, we will have your vehicle towed so that we can open it up for public safety. So that's the option you take, okay? And that was for these developers that weren't plowing roads, that Tom had to, you know, the 4-inch rule that we talked about, and that's what we told, you park on the road, you're gonna be towed.
As the go-to guy for streets, and I value your opinion immensely, have you given any thought to this? What's your opinion?
Take the roads and out,
Yeah,
I think we should have the control from the get-go, especially before this first one, for approval. What I was trying to get your attention for, we were alluding at the parks and community septic area. If there's no signs or fence to stop public from going there, technically the public's invited there, what's the liability?
I believe the HOA has to maintain insurance,
Right.
which again says who
Both
oversees
these boards have that?
Yeah, right.
You know, I mean, you're talking about, you know, down in Florida,
No,
I'll say this
I
for
wasn't
instance.
aware of this, that the open public could go in off the
But
street.
if there's a no trespass sign, now you're not invited, but if there's no
Somebody
sign.
owns that land, and they have a right to tell who they want to go on it. Now, I don't know, this came up tonight, I never knew of any of this.
But with an HOA, 30 years from now, and you just stop paying your due, or whatever, you stop paying your HOA
Mhm.
fees, who's gonna enforce that?
Right.
It's just like a crazy
It
concept.
is a crazy concept. I'll tell you where it was derived from, other parts of the country.
Yeah, no,
Where they don't have the problems with infrastructure. They have retirees, and I don't mean to stereotype, they have nothing better to do than to sit on a committee and oversee
Here we
the
are.
HOA. I want you to
That's fun, it's a lot more funny than I ever.
No. But, you know, it works in that part of the country because you have the mindset that there are people who are willing to put the time in to make sure that people do what they're supposed to do, follow the covenants of the HOA, and I'm sure there's a mechanism if you don't pay,
Yeah.
there's a penalty.
it's much less complicated.
It's very complicated.
It's much less down,
Oh, right,
more
but
complicated.
put that in New England.
I know, right.
We just don't have that
But the
mindset.
other thing is, outside of New England, county government is really what rules the roost.
Right.
Everything is the county, it's
Right.
not the town, so you
Right.
don't need all these retirees on local committees, but you have county government, and that's who takes your
You can know that.
taxes, that's who does everything. So, I mean, like all of those places in Florida,
Yeah.
unincorporated, what does that mean? I live in a town, it's
Right.
unincorporated. What does that mean? Well, it's unincorporated. I don't know what that means, I
Well,
mean,
what do they have to do? I mean, they don't have to plow snow, they don't.
Right.
down
The
there, they
street-
don't
the
have
streets
those
don't
things.
get torn
If
up.
it's-
Police department,
Palm tree,
all
you know,
kinds of state,
yes.
yes.
A palm tree falls down, you can push it out of the way with a
Right,
bicycle,
right.
you know, so, it's just a whole different concept. You know, look, I'm not the one who has all the answers, I just see the problems, and I'm trying to talk collectively as a group, because we're the ones responsible, so,
No, it seems to me that this taxing that street property, that's something we should I'll talk to Carol about it. We should look at what it takes to do that, cause I would.
It will expedite things.
That'll push them, because they're paying taxes on that, so finish.
They don't wanna get that bill.
And if they fall
I know.
behind in the taxes, they can't get another building permit to go
Right.
forward, so
Right.
this will
So
definitely.
right now, what's the incentive for them
None.
to fix that road?
There isn't.
None.
Was that changed at one point, I think, that they weren't taxing individual lots until the CO was given?
They're not taxing it as, a residential rate, it's a different rate, but it's still a buildable lot.
Right.
Once that road goes in front of that lot, it's a buildable lot, and Carroll taxes it appropriately.
Start taxing it as a
Right.
buildable lot.
Right,
Yeah.
so it's the same as anyone if they owned a lot on William Street, they pay the same tax rate. Obviously, the tax amount is lower, but they're still paying the
Yeah,
taxes.
the only thing about this, taking the streets, now, in a 40B, that'd be fine taking all the streets if they build it to our specs, so they're not falling apart
Right,
5 years from now. But we're gonna get a lot of challenges on waivers, I think. And then if the waiver is granted by the courts, do we still wanna accept that road?
I think, I agree with you, and I'm not saying there aren't some roads that are substandard here, but how many waivers have we actually given as boards? I don't know, have you given quite a
Two
few?
sidewalks.
40Bs.
40B,
Yes,
I know
Well,
that.
Necessarily on the road.
Sidewalks is, but I think the actual
No,
building,
I'm talking about the roads.
the width-
the
specifically.
road,
width
the
of the
core
roads.
itself,
Same
like
I know
the,
22 feet.
the way you're built, I don't, I know that we don't give waivers, sidewalks,
22
yes.
feet.
Every time
You
we've
know,
done
but-
a road that I've been on, we
Okay.
always contact Tommy, the
And
fire
Pete.
chief, make sure all apparatus can go around there, all the public utilities, everything's out of the way.
But I don't think you actually give waivers of like the grading and the way that,
The thickness
the
of the
thickness of
subdivision.
it.
Yeah, they come into question, I don't know whether we gave waivers or not, but it is brought up in question.
I mean,
as to how
sidewalks,
thick-
we give sidewalk waivers,
Oh,
and
we
they're
listen to our
saying actually
engineers.
that it's better to only have one
The engineer
sidewalk
gives
than
us
two
final
nowadays, you
say
know?
all the time, whether it's good or bad.
Tom, this is a question for you. I mean, you know every inch of street in this community. Across the street, I think is probably the only one that comes to mind that the question of the road might come into play. But that could be caused by a lot of things, not just the grant of a waiver. The age, the time, et cetera, et cetera. How, let's use that one specifically, for instance. If we did take that one, the top layer was put on, the subdivision was finished, we accepted the road, how bad is that road compared to other roads in town?
I mean, it's the actual streets.
Right.
I do question the foundation, that's, I know I'm not really answering your question. It's probably,
Pretty bad.
for the condition it's in, it's bad, and the age. It's pretty bad.
And also, there's a lot of heavy equipment that's been on the top of that,
For a long
so
time.
many.
Take
for a
Main Street,
long time.
Main Street for
Longer than
example, Main Street's getting very rough. That street's 40 years old.
But it took 40 years to get to that state,
Right.
that's what you're
Got
saying.
a lot more traffic on that road
But
too.
Tom's right, the materials we use and the techniques we're using today, we don't have 40-year streets anymore, anyway you go.
Can we pick and choose, for example, we have, let's say, A, B, C, and D. D is the one over there, all right? So if we have some kind of rule or something about setting the rules under which we would accept the streets, they would have to meet certain construction criteria, I
Build it to
assume?
our specs, so we're not gonna
Right.
take the streets.
So if we have this, and A, B, and C, everything worked out, and Tom says A, B, and C are okay, we're not gonna be stuck with or forced with taking D.
No, because the permits that we have on play right now are all for the most private streets, with the exception of yours. So we have no obligation. However, there is a golden egg, so to speak, across the street. It's never gonna get finished unless they come in for a major modification. So when they come for the modification, if there's discussions we can have with Peter Williams to say, what can we do to this road to make its quality better and its longevity better, we write it into the permit.
But even, you know, I'm thinking, even if you give a waiver, even if the road is not built to the, what you would like it to be built to, and we don't accept it, eventually we're gonna have to deal with that issue anyway.
Absolutely.
So why not
That's what
take
we're
it
gonna
right
do,
away?
yeah.
It doesn't really change what we're gonna end up doing.
If we,
I don't have a problem
if we
accepting
can tax the road,
Yeah, right, that's what.
and if we make road not acceptable, or rather, if we write a rule that the road can't be turned over to the homeowners association until it's acceptable, then the developer's on the hook for paying the taxes.
Right.
I'm sure a lawyer can write it better,
But
but the key is to keep the developer on the hook and make it make the developer not capable, or make it not possible to have them
the
turned
first thing
over.
is you tax the road, you tax that property.
Right, and it can't be transferred to the homeowners association until it's
Accepted.
accepted as a public road or something.
Or if you're gonna accept it as a
Well,
public road,
it doesn't
would
go over to the
would the
HOA.
developer be taxed on it until such time it's in the condition that the town would accept it, and they don't give it to the homeowners, they do it, transfer it to the town?
Yeah,
Right, right.
yeah.
Is,
Well, I'm wondering if they're,
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, we need a lawyer
and
involved.
Yeah.
specifically to answer your question, and I don't know about planning board, so chime in.
Yeah.
The bounds that you're saying need to be in place, all those bounds go in. The zoning board has required that in
Right,
all of their
but now we're
subdivisions.
delineating the difference between homeowners and street.
That's still delineated, because you have to delineate the private property.
Not at the bus stop,
I'm sorry?
not at the bus stop. It needs to be clear where town ends and the bus stop begins. You know, those
I'm not
shelters.
sure that that's not happening, because they put the bounds in at the end of the project.
Right.
In fact, the Pines just had bounds dropped off by the truckload, because they need to do that, and then do an as-built that gets submitted to the
So
board.
You know, little Johnny's mom sitting in the car and pick up the cell phone when she sees a problem at the bus stop.
Right,
Whose property is it at? The car's gonna call the town.
right. But each developer, even with an HOA, has to delineate what's the common area and what's private.
It's just one of their last things
Right,
that they
wait
do
till
off
the
their,
very end to
their
do it, right.
checklist,
Because
yes.
these bounds can get beat up with equipment and whatnot, so that's one of the last things that go in.
Well, that's one of our developers' concerns is the construction. He was putting the binder down. I don't wanna put the top coat on, and development's almost finished, let all the construction happen. We gave them a little lenience to, all right, you can do over here first. And I understand that when you're bringing equipment in and out, curbings, everything, the equipment ruins it. So he was like, can I do the bind last, the top coat last, which he's
Yeah,
done.
yeah, we've been
He's working
very,
right along. He's
very
very good.
forthright with the.
But that's one of the reasons why developers don't like to put the full road in right away.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
he stated too, construction is a big issue with these
Right, right.
equipment,
We've
heavy
done,
equipment.
we've done a very good job of overseeing our subdivisions, and no one's saying that we haven't. I just think that we need to rethink this thing out to maintain, us as a town 20, 30, 40 years from
It
now.
seems to me that, I think, there's two things that come to mind. Number one is I think we gotta figure out how to tax them for the roads before we accept them. And the second thing is, I think as taxpayers in our community, they're paying taxes, like I'm paying taxes on an accepted road. I think we ought to provide them the same level of service for those taxes that we provide anybody else in town.
Right.
But we can get to that much sooner, I think, as Bob says, if we tax them, they're gonna move on it.
I don't have a problem with accepting the roads either with any of these subdivisions, but what I wanna know going forward is, if they come with us for the 40B, we wanted to maintain whatever the, planning board has set for our roads, that's how it's gonna be. Right now, if they,
And-
we can waiver a sidewalk, and
Yeah,
that
and
isn't-
Peter said that,
the width is what
my
I'm
conversation
concerned
with
with.
Peter said that all your roads, those roads in your 40Bs, well, the ones that he's been involved on, cause I don't think he's been involved with across
I
the street.
think the material wise, yes, but the widths
Yeah.
were changed.
But, which is okay, cause we give waivers for width, we give waivers
But
for
it's not
sidewalk.
okay when you go in an emergency
We already
situation.
had them
No,
That's
do.
why-
No,
We had
but,
the
Chris,
fire-
why do you
no.
think the planning board
You-
adopted those rules in the
I
beginning?
You can't go less than 20 feet.
Right.
It's state law.
I
That's
understand.
not even a town law,
We
it's
don't
20
have
feet of
state,
pavement.
Right.
right. For public
The planning
safety.
board is not gonna waiver less than that either.
Right, they don't.
So if you stay consistent between the boards, and they have to give a reason why they wanna do that.
But am I right, the planning board set up the road dimensions that you want for the roads, somewhere along the line, somebody adopted the
Yeah, but
rules.
every piece of property, every subdivision, every 40B that comes to this town is
So it's all
totally
criteria,
different.
yeah.
Everything has its different criteria. Some topography is different, the wetlands, there's some wetlands you might
We're
have
not
to
talking
address.
about, we're talking about a road.
Yeah, but if you
I-
gotta go
I
around the wetlands, you
understand
might
this.
allow
Okay,
the narrower road.
so you've both given waivers to date, right? You've been on every subdivision, cause I've been giving you driveway permits to approve.
Mhm.
Is there anything wrong with the roadway widths in any of these subdivisions that you can see from a maintenance perspective?
No, no.
Okay.
You're okay with it?
So we're not doing anything wrong.
Right.
So if you don't get any less lenient that you've been, then we shouldn't have any problems.
Right.
The fire chief doesn't have a problem, because if he did, he would have told you. I asked him today if there was any problems, he said no,
No,
couldn't be here tonight.
and they, you know, I believe as
We
our
have to
board,
go through.
right, plus when a plan is submitted to the planning board, the plan is also submitted to the fire department, every department, they review those plans. In the past, the fire chief has come to us, he didn't like this, you know, that needs to be a little wider, that corner, you know, I don't think I could get a fire truck,
Right.
you know, that's
And-
working together,
Right,
that's,
and we had an instance where a plan was approved by the
Mhm.
planning board out at Sunny's Way. The first time driving through there, I said, you can't get a fire truck through here.
right,
It might have looked good on paper, so we called the developer. There was no nasty letters, it was, hey, this doesn't make sense. Oh, of course it doesn't make sense, I'll redo that. Planning board says, okay, we get rid of the median strip, everybody's happy.
mhm.
So we have a good relationship.
What about the gated community? Would
Hunters
that
Hill?
be a development that the town would be looking to accept those streets?
We probably, no,
So it's gated, so is somebody gonna pay the taxes on that,
there has been somebody paying taxes
on
on.
the roads?
We don't know about the road.
Nope, well,
That's-
she doesn't tax the roads, so,
Oh.
We would wanna do that, though,
Right,
I,
like any other road.
well,
I-
that discussion you have with Carol is gonna be town-wide anyway.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, okay.
yeah, I agree, if
Right.
you do one, you gotta do
So a
all.
gated community would always stay, it's private, period. You
But
gotta,
that's one of the unique subdivisions that's actually worked.
It,
It hasn't come back to us.
right,
for all kinds of
55 and
reasons.
over is actually worked, they've maintained it,
I actually think the homeowners there would not want to have accepted
so
streets.
that's
Right.
They
truly
don't want the gates to
private.
go
I would
on.
think a rule of thumb is if you got a gate, you're not gonna have a public road.
Sorry?
They're not gonna, the only way to make that public is to take the gate down.
Right, that's not gonna
And
happen.
that's
So
what's
it's
No.
totally,
But
that's
then-
not gonna happen there. I don't think the residents in that subdivision would want that, they have
so
bought
they get,
into
they
that
get police
subdivision.
and fire as town services.
Mhm.
And does the school bus go in, well, no, it's all, they don't have children,
55
there's
and
no
over.
children.
No.
They handle their own trash.
Mhm.
Okay, so the public service part of it is police and fire.
Mhm.
Okay.
And generally, I think people who live in
Don't
the
search
community
it,
are a little
too,
higher
right?
income, that they really don't, it's not gonna be
Yeah.
a burden on them anyways.
Yeah, right. Most of those are retirees.
Yeah, the sewage is the.
Yeah,
He-
I don't live in a.
Jimmy,
I do have gates in my.
that's, Hunter's Hill has its own sewage, common sewage area, but it isn't in yet, is it?
Yes.
Got a fence.
It's partially in, it's not, the sewage treatment plant's not in, but there is a common sewage in, yes. But it has a threshold that
Right.
they haven't reached yet.
Okay.
But
They're getting close, though.
I'm sorry?
What's the prevent children from being there? Does both homeowners have to be 55 and older? Does our,
No, just one,
no, just one, so the 55-year-old could marry a 30-year-old.
yes, they could,
Yeah, they could.
yes.
Happens all the time.
Sir?
And what's
I'm sorry, I have to leave, but I just, for the comment that affects both boards on design. If we adopt anything, you're not gonna have speed bumps.
No.
Across the street does. And we have a problem with snow removal with the vegetated cul-de-sacs. It's either increase the diameter or consider not doing, I mean, on the stormwater side, we need it. But on the snow plow side, we're forced to cause damage trying to get around these things because it's so tight. So,
Thank you, Tom.
I have to hit the road though.
Okay.
Good night, Tom. See you in the morning.
One thing that comes to my mind is when these subdivisions are approved, the developer is selling these lots or these homes to people. Is he stipulating there to these people that they are gonna be responsible for a private
Well, this came
road?
up at the last meeting. Personally speaking, the people I talk to, the only way they find out is if they do it on their own. He's not,
They sign a
he or
paper.
she is not really
So that
telling them
could, I
exactly
mean, he
what-
could be actually charging these people for
They
the
sign a
road
paper to
and,
close
you
it.
know,
When
telling
they
them
close
that
it,
they are
they sign it.
responsible. They're telling
Whether
them
they
that
read it
they're
or not.
responsible
all
for
of the
the road and all of
subdivisions,
the.
all the subdivisions that I'm aware of, nobody's paying HOA dues yet to any developers.
Council Oak pays theirs,
Okay, yeah,
Hunter's Hill,
yeah. He does, really? Yeah.
Bernie and Arthur,
Oh, okay, I should have known that, yeah.
yes.
Should've
Well,
known
But
that.
only some do, because some import the fact that, right in the HOA, it says that, you know, they're not supposed to, that particular HOA says that they do not pay their dues till more than 70% of homes are occupied.
Okay.
And some of those poor people have been paying it since day one,
Right.
and, you know,
Dayton Woods, for instance, is another one. Nobody's
Mhm.
paying HOA dues
Mhm.
yet either. So, you know, and those developers have said they don't intend on doing it until it's completed and they're ready to turn it over.
right.
Which I think is a wise thing to do from a
Which-
developer standpoint.
And I know in all of our HOAs is, that's part of the stipulation, until the street is acceptance, the HOA does not get turned over to the homeowners. In Cortland and John, they now pay HOA dues,
Well, yeah, those are,
because once the
Fully
street,
built out.
yep, and once the street's
Right.
accepted is when it's turned over to the
Right.
homeowners.
right.
Jimmy, do the homeowners association or the homeowners in Dayton Woods know that when this is complete, that they will be hit with another?
I don't know,
Okay,
because
well,
I'm
they do
not.
now if they watch TV.
Right.
It should be in their loan, it should be in their loan documents.
Right.
They have to sign it when they do it, I know
If-
that. and they
if-
close
As
it.
we said in the last meeting, if they're not doing their homework, then shame on them.
Right.
I said this earlier today, I said, buyer beware, okay? So it's not our fault that a resident buys a house in a subdivision that has, an association. They know this when they're buying it.
But it's too
I mean,
late.
it's
I
not a
agree.
secret.
Woody.
And if someone's buying a 40B house, they're getting a deal on it, right? They're not buying it like at full face value like
Never gain
everyone
value.
else.
Well,
So
that's
these
only-
people know ahead of time, Jim,
I don't.
that
and-
there's a problem.
And we're not here to debate whether the HOA needs to remain in existence and whether the homeowners are responsible or not. They're gonna be responsible for the HOA. We're not here to say,
Well, it's time for us to stop being so gullible when these developers come to us. I mean, I was here years ago when Stonegate came, when they first came. How many years ago was that? Right, they come through the door with a lot of fancy plans, a lot of guys in suits. They made it look like it was gonna be the best thing since ice cream.
right,
And we were gonna get all these people coming here, snowbirds that were gonna move in, and they wasn't gonna tax our school system. And from day one, it was a problem,
right.
right? And I was on Park and Rec then, I'm the one who negotiated the playground over there, after they built 20 homes. We basically had to hold their feet to the fire to get that playground put in. And the only reason it got put in is because they had a building permit for house number 21.
And
Jim
And we
made
know
sure
who
I
that
knew.
house was for, and I won't go into it here. But we held their feet to the fire.
Yeah.
I mean, we gotta get tough with these developers. We're being a little too nice.
there's no
Yeah.
developer in this town that gets away with any conditions that are in this comprehensive permit.
Well, it's
None.
time to
No.
get tougher.
None.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
I'm
then
not-
maybe
I
we
think
can
everybody
show,
knows-
maybe
If
we
you can
should
show
make
me a lawyer
stricter
that'll support it,
conditions.
we have fought, and every man in this board
Right.
that has worked on them, we've negotiated for long
Oh, I
hours.
see what you guys do, Bob. You got a tough nut to crack,
And
you know.
Everything is against you, the housing authority,
Of course.
40Bs are wanted, you've seen them, we had a chance to vote it out of the state, and it was defeated by almost 60%. So it's something that the state, as a statewide, they want.
I understand that, but
As
it's
a
time to get
community,
tough.
Like you said, 55 and over, I sat there and I brought in a newspaper report from Hudson, Massachusetts, where the
Right.
55 didn't work. They said to me, you can't tell us who we have to market to. That's just what they
Oh,
told
I
us.
was here, Bob. I went to all
You
those
know,
meetings.
I agree.
We know this, it's all about smoke and mirrors, and once the developer gets in and gets done and gone, we own it. So if we're gonna take on the roads, let's take them on, and take them on right at the beginning, and not give them any lenience, built to the town specifications, and just go with it.
I've been
Period.
watching these meetings for years,
And
you
then
know.
fight it out in court if we have to, because we're gonna pay for it later on. I've been arguing this for 12 years, I'm liable to go off.
And we'll
on
never
it.
reach our 10%, you're just chasing it.
We're not gonna. meet
Never,
those.
you're never going to.
You never, cause
we
it goes
could've.
by your population, so the more we approve the 40Bs, our population goes up, so our goal to reach our 10%, we just keep reaching for it.
Well, we
Somerset
could,
Woods
Somerset Woods would have brought us
Yeah,
over.
And
Yeah.
you had 3-bedroom apartments with 1.5 parking spots
different.
for people.
But
It's
did
not
we want
apartments,
that
it's
in our
different.
We'd
town?
really like that.
We could've, but still.
But did we want that in our
No,
town?
I'm
No,
not
I
saying
don't.
that, I'm just saying it is possible.
It is possible
The 10%.
to reach it, it is possible.
Now, as far as parks, I believe that there's only Stonegate Landon has a park, but that's,
And
Stony Ridge.
Stony Ridge does.
oh, it
too.
does?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
That's a
Now,
rather nice one, actually.
is it?
Yeah.
Now, is that ever going to be part of the towns, or is
No,
that always
it's
gonna be the
HOAs.
HOAs? Oh, like across the street?
Right.
Does Park and Rec have any involvement in,
I
Like
don't
we
know
did
unless it's written into the comprehensive permit.
Yeah.
Not that I
And
know of.
if-
We worked with the ZBA with Stonegate Park and Rec did, and it
Yes,
worked
but
out
we-
really good.
We
Yeah.
wouldn't get the 20, they wouldn't get the 20.
Yeah.
yeah, and then
Right.
I ordered all the equipment over there for him.
Right.
Now, as far as any of our subdivisions, mostly it's like conservation subdivisions where the 20% of their total land becomes open space. We haven't had anybody put it in a park as of yet.
You've only had one under that conservation subdivision.
No,
too.
we have a few.
Where
We
are
have Wellington Acres,
they? Okay.
we have Louise Lane, which is on Pine Street. Hunters Hill is actually
The
a
first.
conservation
It is
subdivision.
at first. I didn't know there was any more. I know, I'm not privy to your board,
Yeah,
but that was the only one I had known of that had come in under that.
There was, it was in the newspaper, that Hunters Hill is gonna have a 40B also, as part of its, it was in the paper as well as assisted living.
No.
No, not a
No.
40B, but units that would count towards the
Affordable
affordable
housing.
housing.
Because it's for the
Yes.
elderly,
Yes.
right?
There was,
Yes.
there was discussion with the developer
Right.
that if the nursing home went forward, some of those units could be counted towards our affordable housing stock. I called the state, they said it is possible, you just
Right.
need cooperation with the developer, because it's not a 40B.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
Is he still going forward with that?
as far
Mhm.
as I
The
know,
land
yes.
is up for sale, that was where it was gonna go.
Yeah.
And this-
I think it's all under,
Off
I don't-
Elm Street?
under new
No.
ownership
No,
now.
no,
That's not
no,
where it's
that's,
going.
yeah.
Oh, this is different then, because he
No,
was
this
gonna put a,
This is, you didn't see the presentation, the selectmen? Oh, he came in and did a nice presentation.
Yeah, he'll be doing a presentation for the planning board on
Right.
June 7th.
Right.
this is on Elm Street then, this is up
No,
on the
this
hill,
is
'cause
off
he
of William
originally
Street.
was the
This is-
one that assisted living
This is on
on
William
that
Street.
19 acres, okay.
Yeah.
And you won't be able to drive from the William Street unit
To Anderson
to
Drive,
the Hunters Hill
right.
Right,
single families.
Right.
It's,
it's two
affordable,
projects.
it's,
Susan's land.
Yes,
there was, they had the top floor was to help for
Oh,
patients that have like, the memory unit, they
Right.
called it.
Wasn't
And
that
one
where he was
was,
supposed to put his septic system in
the,
Susan's property?
The
Because it was
regular
supposed to be down near my
55s.
property.
Right.
And then there was
the
assisted
septic
living.
system, no, the
Right.
septic
There was three.
system's
It was a
always been
trifecta.
up on his property, but it abuts
It was
Susan's
behind
property.
John Sousa's in the original plan.
It was behind, and that's exactly where
And
it
he
still
moved
is.
it over to, he bought Sousa's property and put it up off of William Street. That's what
No,
I was
it's-
told.
It's staying exactly where it was.
So let's get back on track.
I don't like
If
that.
there's
I just don't know.
if there's an effort from the three boards here to explore acceptance of these roads, then I think we need to bring it to the next level, which is to talk it over with the attorneys that are on retainer for each of the boards. But I would like it to be a unified effort so that we're all speaking in one voice.
Well,
Just involve
okay,
the
so,
roads,
but
or the
all of
roads
our
and the
roads,
detention basins and things like that.
all of
But
our
I'd like
roads,
to, I'd like to open that up for discussion. I mean, I know we have another meeting
all of
coming
our
up, but-
roads are, none of them we have put any conditions about private.
But
They
I
will
think,
all come,
I think the zoning board would benefit from recommendations from your attorney, is what I'm saying.
okay,
Because she has that experience. So that's why I would like the dialogue. That's my suggestion.
okay.
Now,
We'd like
good,
to also be in a,
Oh,
just,
yeah,
just
oh,
for
yeah.
hearing it, right?
oh, yeah.
Can it be done in like waves, like, first thing we talk about is streets, and we resolve the streets issue and whether or not, or if and when we're going to, they'll become town roads. And then we look at, the next thing might be the stormwater things.
Well, here's the problem. We need to sort of get the plan in play because the modification is gonna address all of the items.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean,
So we need to, and the point was just made up, you know, do we have a short list of what we think we should include in that? Should we try to meet again after people do more research? The stormwater, we know that can be an issue with the state if it's not maintained properly.
Mhm.
So leaving that in the HOA's hands, I don't know if that's the right or the wrong thing to do. I really don't have an opinion either way. So-
We haven't had, Tom takes drive-throughs, and he would come back to me and say, I'll use Shanley Estates. Shanley Estates, the detention basin needs to be addressed. Da-da-da-da-da. I contact the trustee or the president per se of the HOA, it needs to be addressed. We've actually had no problems, they usually,
So that's working?
it seems to be
The
working. Ledgewood
enforcement-
Estates up
Yeah, the
over there.
enforcement is definitely the town's.
Right.
That
Right.
even on the private roads, and
Right.
that's, so when Tom drives around, we had the problem on Richmond
Mhm.
Hill, we had two up there, one
Right.
full of brush and the other one,
But now that's one part of it, how about the stormwater, the retention basin cleaned,
the stormwater system is the responsibility of the town of Dayton. That's who the
the
EPA or the
roadway.
DEP would come after. Now,
Right.
then the town would have to go to the homeowners association or whatever, but if they said, we don't have any money for that, it would probably be the town's gotta fix it and bill
Well,
them or something, I don't know.
Now, when we establish our HOAs from the developer, we require, depending on how big their systems are, et cetera, they have to have, before they hand that HOA over to the homeowners, they have to have X amount of dollars in there to start them off.
So they're starting off with a cash reserve.
They are starting off with the cash
And that
reserve.
makes sense. So to get more specific on the stormwater, because I think we're in agreement on the roads, you say that there's a system where Tom sees it,
Mhm.
okay, how about the actual cleaning of the basins?
Well, that's in the roadway, so once they're accepted, obviously, once the HOA,
So
with
in
that-
your case, it becomes our responsibility.
that's correct.
So the only one that would be a question would be 40Bs, unless we move towards road acceptance.
That's,
Okay,
yes.
so that would be our responsibility.
Right,
Okay.
and I know that, Jack told me today that Tom was working with, Serpent about the BMPs of stormwater, because, you know, sometimes Tom will drive by and he isn't really sure, okay, is that okay, or isn't that okay, or should, you know, but, you know, I knew that was important, that Tom needed to, so that we can all work
Okay,
to
so
the,
it seems like for compliance with the state, the system is working. If we accept the 40B roads, we'll be doing the catch basin
best
cleanings.
management practices.
So that will bring compliance with that. So I guess the
But
only
our
other,
40B roads are gonna meet the requirements of the town of Dayton from here on out.
yeah, I think waivers consistent with what planning's given and you've given in the past are probably still okay. Because there's been no issues that we can see. And it's gonna happen. You can say you want it, but you know, for instance, Maris Lane was a wetlands crossing. I mean, it should have never happened, but it happened, and I know there's a waiver for road width there. So, so it may come up again,
Right,
right?
but I believe that road width came from the Conservation Commission because of there
Right.
being such a big wetland
Right.
factor.
But it's probably this much over 20 feet, I can
I
guarantee
bet
that.
you it is, especially going over that.
Right, so
Mhm.
it may happen in the future, depending on what comes in and what
Yeah,
property we're looking at.
like she said earlier,
Every-
topography,
everyone's
wetland
different,
right.
conditions.
So common areas like bus stops, park areas, things like that, leave that in the HOA's control, is that the consensus?
Yeah, we,
How
well,
did you write in the Parks and Recs involvement, was it just for setup, or who's maintaining it over across the street?
HOA, as far
Yeah.
as I know.
So you just had involvement to get the.
To get the
equipment
park in there, because, you know, they were gonna have a lot of houses at first, you know, they had a big plan. and
Right,
They're gonna have their grandchildren, and
Right.
like, where are these kids gonna play, so.
okay,
And the guy was very nice, you know, when they first come in, they offer you everything,
yeah.
you know? They all dress
Well, what
nice and
happens
look
in the
nice and
future?
promise you the world.
Cost-wise, because that's, everything goes up in price. To maintain these parks and things like that, the HOAs, they're set up to pay so much money every month.
Well, the
With their board.
HOAs have to elect a board. They have a chairman, I don't know what the delegation is, but they have a board, and it's made up of the neighborhood.
So they basically go up in fees in
And
order
they
to
self,
maintain.
right, they self-govern.
this.
There's a treasurer, you need to make sure it's budgeting, et cetera, so yeah,
It's like condos, same thing.
Isn't,
Right.
isn't
Condo
there part of the
association.
bank that does that, because some of these have got, the banks back them, but we had one came in,
No.
was Rockland Trust with Crest.
There's no loans on any of the common areas HOA.
No, but I meant, don't they set up this, the neighborhood beautification?
Well, yeah, they should have a bank, I'm sure at Council Oak,
Yeah.
you guys probably have an, and
There's
your
no-
treasurer maintains
There's no
that
oversight
account.
other than the people who are the elected officials or appointed officials of the HOA, which have nothing to do with us,
I
it's
don't
the neighborhood. And anything that we
But
have,
there can be a lack of interest brought in there.
There's a ton. Why do you think I'm so concerned? Yeah.
And then there are the ones that signed everything but never read what they signed.
Right, right, which we understand.
Buyer beware.
Probably let them talk.
I know you get a lawyer when you buy a house, and they're supposed to tell you all this.
Sorry?
That's
This alleviates the
right.
trash pickup problem too with the water
Trash
public
pickup
lands.
problem going on private, right,
Right.
that's another problem, that's a good point, thank you. We have that came up, as you well know, that
Yeah.
all goes away, because now Borges has the right to go on that road.
Right.
What about these, what
School
about
buses
the,
too,
School
that's
buses
what we were
too.
just talking about, common areas with like bus stops. Now, if we open up these roads to public roads, they're not gonna need that little terminal at the end of their developments. Cause now the
Well,
that's
it'll
a-
depend on the age
yeah.
of the students, cause they only pick up the lower grades, middle
Right.
school
Right.
kids have to walk.
Oh, so they walk down.
High school kids
Yeah.
have to
So that should all
walk.
stay in
Yeah.
our permit.
Cause the
I-
kids in my neighborhood all walk out to
Yeah.
Tremont
Okay.
Street.
I think they're a great idea,
No,
I
me
would try
too.
to write those in every development that you have,
Mhm.
so, I mean, I see, parents congregating by them in the morning and
Right.
going over, solving the world's problems, I think it's a good thing, for a sense of
Complaining about
community.
the HOA.
You know?
Yeah.
They should have known they signed up for it.
We don't require those, so they can't sit there and
The
complain.
problems of the world get settled every morning at Alice's. There's already a bunch of retirees that do that. We won't name names,
Nothing better to do.
but you know who I mean.
Yes, sir.
I just want to, I think it would probably be a great idea to have an attorney present at our next one.
Oh, yeah,
That way there, we're not spinning our wheels, can we do
No.
this or that, and
no.
I think we could probably
Lisa
get an
was good at the
answer.
last meeting. She's the one that
Lisa's
brought
very
up.
good.
Lisa's
Stuff.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Lisa is very
Lisa,
good.
I would encourage her involvement, so,
Yes. Okay. So you
we
wanna-
can't do it alone, I mean, we need
No,
her
and
advice, so.
she, she has good advice, and she talks so that you understand things as well, She don't throw these lawyer terms at you sometimes where you're just like,
It's not like they don't find out.
Is the snow removal
always,
a policy now?
long time, we trained her a long time.
4
ago.
inch.
It was like the 3.
Yes.
Yes,
It is a policy.
yeah,
Yes.
and hopefully it's not an issue next year.
Well, I think that with the snow policy, there's going to be repeat offenders per se. And I think after this winter and the bill that they received, I don't think just like taxing the roads, they don't like to pay any more to this town than they need to.
Right.
No
Send
matter
out those
what it
bills.
is,
Send them out.
send them out.
But with that mechanism we put in place, at least we know that
That's right.
Tom Ferry is gonna deal with it.
Yep.
If he sees it, and it's gonna be,
And that's why we could tell them, if you park on those private roads and 4-inch snow
Right.
is there, and we have to send in trucks, you either move or we're gonna tow you.
I think the taxing is a good idea too, because it's a message for future developments, like you're not gonna come in and drag your feet and take
Right.
forever
Yep,
and save a couple
that's right.
dollars
It's not
on the backs
happening.
of the people
Right.
who pay
Enough to hit on
taxes.
That's
Richmond
right.
Hill, since that seems to be
well, that's,
the-
yeah, I think she's prepared to give us an update.
An update on Richmond Hill, where are they with the,
Actually, they're moving right along quite nicely. I need to make sure that the old Board of Health should probably catch up the new Board of Health, with what you guys required, because our engineer's been out there, they have been doing work. He wanted to get on the June meeting for acceptance. I thought that was rushing it. I didn't wanna rush it. I want to make sure that we are all on the same page. And I told him that I got all the information that I needed. And I told him that we would put him on the fall meeting, to be accepted before the snow came, so that he, but I didn't want him to, to rush things to get, on the June meeting, cause I just didn't, I think the roadway needs a little bit, Tom,
yeah,
and
when Tom says it's okay.
Tom and I
as far as
discussed
I'm
that.
concerned, when Tom says it's okay,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Can you get
Tom and
something from Peter that says that those roads actually do?
Your roads?
The roads in this one that you're talking
We
about?
need
Oh,
to-
we do, we do not even bring a
We
road,
don't have that.
Any
You think
road.
We could get something like that that says that, because I'm not opposed to it.
Any road.
We need to get the attorney's advice first,
Okay.
and then if we pass muster with the attorney, then we can move to what do we need to do logistically
Mhm.
to make sure we're covered.
I mean, we have a procedure on how we do acceptance road, First, it goes through our engineer. When Peter tells us,
And it goes with.
Yep. yep, that road is ready for acceptance, then they have to
90
have a
days and
sign-off
accept it,
sheet from
right?
every department, has to have a sign-off sheet. Then,
90 days
and an
later, you accept
as-built,
it? Is that how it goes, 90 days?
no, we
So it
wait,
has to go to a town meeting.
town meeting,
Yeah, but I mean, the road has to be completed and accept, it's 90 days before it can be accepted, is it not? Isn't that a bylaw in the town?
no,
You sure?
nope, I'm positive,
I always thought it was.
nope, it is not. I mean, it takes quite a while, it just
Yeah.
doesn't, you just
You
don't
may be
like,
referring to
Yeah.
90 days
Yeah.
after the top coat is put on.
Yeah, before it can
Yeah.
be put on for the town meeting.
The top coat is not put on the day before the town meeting.
No.
It's all done
Right.
3 months
prior.
before,
Right.
yes,
So
months
that might be
before,
what you're referring to.
that's what I said, if, you know, if we're gonna take this, if you're gonna take on Sylvia Way and you're gonna do that, it takes months. It takes, you know, you gotta have our engineer sign off on it, then all departments are gotta sign off on it.
That's
You
what
gotta
we
make
did.
sure the as-built is there, you gotta have a
Right.
deed drawn up, you gotta have the meets and bounds drawn up, the warrant article. It's just very, there's a lot to it than just, okay, let's bring it to town meeting. No,
So once that's all in play and it's into the office, and it's all been signed by everyone, at that point in time, we can say, all right, you're on a town meeting, to go ahead and take that too, we wanna accept it.
yep, we need deeds,
That's how it's
we
gonna
need a
go.
deed,
The thing you should understand though, Bob, is that what Heidi's alluded to isn't reinventing the wheel for your projects, because all that's done to transfer all that to the HOA right now. It's just the language in it that instead of the HOA, the road going to the HOA, it's gonna come to the town.
mhm,
So it's not like we have to start from scratch. I'm not saying it's not a major change, but we don't have to start from scratch.
right,
And this is our first 40B that's gonna be completed, so we Right. haven't gone through this process, so this is.
right.
So, yeah, so that's why I say we're at a crossroads.
It's gotta, at the bottom line, it's gotta have some kind of impact on the amount of money. Because in all honesty, in the 40B, anything over a 20% profit comes back to the town of Dayton. Okay, we get that money if it goes over 20%. And by the town accepting this road, ask the attorney this, don't take my word for it, but
Well,
that's
at our
what.
next meeting, that's a
Yeah.
good question for
40B, that's
Lisa.
what it is. If they go over, if they get more than a 20% profit, they don't get that profit. We do, the town does. So this is a major amount of roads that are, it has
I
got
don't
to have some
see-
type of impact on the
I don't
bottom
seem
line.
like, I
wouldn't
think the
help the
profit,
developer.
the profit is, how that works is, okay, he put X amount of dollars to building this road.
Right.
He's made X amount of dollars in selling the
But
homes.
it had to be figured into the fact that the homeowners association was gonna have to do it in perpetuity.
Yeah, but
It's gotta have some kind of
I don't
impact.
think that's
I
where the balance
see your point, I'm just
is.
not sure if it's
Okay.
validated.
All right.
Yeah,
But the attorney Mr. Chairman, I hope I
I
didn't
want the
misspeak when
money
I
if
said
it's
Lisa
ours.
Mead would be the resource.
I'm in
You're okay
favor
with
of
that,
it,
right?
yes,
Okay.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
so if we're going to, push towards getting Sylvia Way accepted probably at the fall meeting,
Mhm.
we should probably have a meeting like within the month, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we should do it sooner.
Okay.
With
Yes, I'm
attorney.
saying,
Well, I was just gonna say, we have another meeting ready for.
okay, yeah.
Being an old retired guy, I'd like to take a few minutes to rest.
I'm gonna go down.
Cat nap.
Okay, make a motion, we close this
So when are we gonna meet again? I
next
think,
week.
I
No.
The
Next
meeting again next
Oh.
week.
We
I
are
thought this was ordered.
after this.
You wanna go like the 21st of June or the 14th of June?
21st is our meeting, isn't it? Well, it's at 7:30, that's 7.
It's gonna be a beautiful day that day.
Oh, well.
93 tomorrow.
June 21st, I'm fishing.
Longest day of the year.
I
The
guarantee you.
7th, the 14th, the 21st,
Of what month?
June.
That's like prime fishing week.
Well, I told you, you have
Longest
to, gonna
days.
have to
Yeah.
miss some nights.
Don't fish at night.
What are we talking about, what's the date again?
June 7th, 14th, 21st, or I would assume the 28th.
7th.
I'd
The
like to
7th
be
we
sooner
have-
than later if we can.
The
Hate to
7th,
miss
we
the
only
fall.
have Hunter's Hill presentation, so if we were
But
to
we
do
still
that.
have to, we still have to meet with your lawyer
Well, we're gonna meet with the lawyer that day, on that
on
meeting.
the 7th.
We're discussing it now.
We're discussing it now.
Conference?
What's the other date?
Gonna be
7th, the
14th.
14th, the 21st.
Does anybody have regularly scheduled meetings that
We
they
have
have
the
dates?
7th. We have a regular scheduled meeting on the
You
7th.
have,
21st at 7 o'clock.
So we
So
can
we
be here
have
at
a short
6.
meeting if we're starting at 6. I'm not sure it gives us enough time.
20,
You wanna do it on the off week?
the
14th?
14th, that works for
Do it on the off
me.
week?
So what's that?
No.
That's okay, don't cut.
What's that?
We do
June
Board of Health on the off weeks.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay.
What time is your meeting?
6.
Yeah, we got a DLR
Do you wanna make it for later then?
on the seventh.
That way you can,
What do you got on the seventh, Jack?
I don't know, we have,
Meeting at 10 o'clock in the morning.
we've been having 3-4 hour
Yeah,
meetings.
it'll take a, we're gonna be back till late in the
well, maybe you can have a short
Come
one.
on, I gotta check the tides.
It's exhausting.
The seventh really doesn't work well for us.
Okay, so it's the 14th or the 21st then?
I'm okay with either.
Like the
What
14th.
nights are we meeting?
I like the 14th.
The seventh we're meeting.
June 14th.
7th and 21st?
No, we're on summer hours, one meeting a month.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then it'll be, that's fine.
21st?
Is that the third Wednesday?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Third Wednesday?
Yeah, we got a meeting at 7, so are we gonna have enough time?
And that
to
will
do
be,
it at 6?
I'm gonna,
21st?
what's that?
Are we gonna have enough time if we have the meeting at 6? We got a meeting at 7
Yes.
on the 21st,
I-
an hour with the attorney?
Well, this
Yeah.
will
We'll focus our efforts if it's only.
Yeah,
Richard
this
go
has been an
first.
hour and 15 minutes. What do you got on your agenda for that day, do you know?
I wanna say she said it was gonna be a bit busy. That's our next meeting next week.
No, hon, that's
Okay.
next month.
Oh, then who knows?
Okay, well, exactly, so if Rosalind, if we could work so Rosalind doesn't put anything on your agenda till 7:30, when the selectmen need to go up to their meeting,
We
then,
start the summer schedule also in June.
Yeah.
right, we do.
So we're
I
not
don't
meeting,
know.
Oh, there you go.
we're not meeting on the 7th, the Board of Selectmen will meet the
Shouldn't
14th
take
and the
this long.
28th. So, I mean, I know you have off weeks, but
The 7th,
June
so,
starts the,
yes,
you
we
know.
only have, right, our only meeting in,
Let's go with
June is the
June
7th.
21st,
Okay.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
okay. And I will check with Lisa just to make sure she is available, cause that's probably the
So that's-
important.
I know the guys on a Board of Health, second and fourth Wednesday.
Meeting
That's the
adjourned?
best.
Make a motion.
6 p.m. on the
6
21st.
o'clock.
Somebody
June
can.
21st.
Can I?
Yes.
Okay.
6
Yes.
o'clock.
Make a motion to, make a motion to adjourn.
For this board, right?
For this board.
For this board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion to
Second.
adjourn.
Do we have a summer schedule?
Yes, June
Motion to
7th.
adjourn?
Oh,
Second, probably not.
All in favor, say aye.
But I'm okay with it.
We got stuff to
I'm feeling
do, I
better today,
can't.
I know that.
You know what else we have?
Everybody all set on
Jim?
township tickets before we close?